Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends. It's me. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other, and we come back the next week to grade them on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how much that thing is up our individual alleys. This week, we're going to be talking about Jake's recommendation for me, the second in his spooky Halloween-themed October bonanza? What do you want to call it?
We call it a month.
It's a month. I was trying to go fun with it. When he had me watch the 1980 classic Friday the 13th, the first one in the franchise, and I had Jake watch the 2022 film Vengeance, available to watch on Amazon right now, written and directed by B.J. Novak. The score as it sits right now is Jake has 54 points, right behind me with my 55 points. We will get into all that, but if you're enjoying the show, please remember to subscribe to it on whatever podcast platform you're listening to it on. Check us out on YouTube. We got some new content up there, some video game plays.
We're playing games together now.
Yeah, we're playing games and doing a little recording thing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Check us out there and leave a like and leave a review and 5 stars and tell your friends about the show. We all really appreciate it. So, I went and saw a movie on Saturday.
Like you went to the theaters?
I went to the movie theater.
Ooh, what'd you see?
I took the kid, and we went and saw the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's just a concert.
A concert, right?
It's a concert, yeah.
Okay. So,
Jacob, first of all, the movie grossed. You want to take a stab in the dark at how much money this made?
hundreds of millions.
$128 million first weekend.
Yeah, big surprise.
That's just the movie, to say nothing of how much money that tour has grossed.
Yeah.
But it was recording one concert in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. Sold out. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift person.
No.
I like the songs that I've heard. I'm not one of those people that's obsessive about it.
There's some songs that I enjoy. One song that I really love that I can't think of the name of it. Mm-hmm. And then most of them are just extremely annoying to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for us.
It's popular music.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy the children are enjoying this.
I will say she puts on a show, the live stage show as it was filmed.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay. Unlike anything I had ever seen on film.
Are you a Swiftie now?
No.
Oh.
But I'm starting to... But going into this, like, I went with the kid. She wanted to go.
Okay.
And...
Good. You didn't drag her to see this.
I didn't drag my kid and be like, I'm going to go see what all the fuss is about.
I'm going to go see Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You're coming to the theater or you're not.
It was 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Good God.
It's a long time.
That's a good concert length, though.
Yeah, it is for one person. But I'm starting to get it. And I realized that there was a cultural event that you and I went through that is like the same thing.
Huh.
When we were about that age. In 1999, a film came out called Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
You think this is comparable?
Here's the comparison between the two.
Okay.
When I went and saw the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, it was an 11:30 showing. Movie started around noon, after previews and whatnot.
Right.
You could see the people that were there for that movie. They were all in the theater. You could pick them out in the concession line. There was a girl there, probably in her early to mid-20s, who made friendship bracelets to give out to everybody.
To people?
We all got friendship bracelets.
Oh,
she went around, did it. Gave everybody that wanted one a friendship bracelet.
That's so cute.
There were people that had T-shirts. Girls came dressed up as Taylor Swift, standing in the aisles, singing, dancing. Apparently, there are all these little coded things that you're supposed to do during songs, kind of like a Rocky Horror Picture Show thing, where if you know the inside jokes, you scream things at the screen
okay.
while you're supposed to be doing it. But it's comparable to Episode 1 just because the level of children and adults both being obsessed with the same thing.
Okay.
Hadn't seen anything like that since Episode 1. Because
I see where you come from.
I was like 12-ish when Episode 1 came out.
Yeah, right.
11, 12, that age. And
I still remember going to the theaters to see Episode 1.
And I remember seeing people in their 30s losing their minds just as much as children were.
I saw it in the theaters twice, yeah.
Yeah. I can't even remember how many times I've seen it. But I know it was a couple. And it was that kind of cultural moment where it spanned generations. Because there were women in their, I would say, 40s, older than me, dancing, singing along.
Awesome.
With friendship bracelets and everything. As a cultural moment, it was weird to be in. It must be like if you don't like comics and you went to Comic-Con in like the early 2000s before comics were just pop culture.
Yeah.
Because it's this weird and very avid fan base that I have no frame of reference for, other than I kind of know what it is.
Yeah, I know their songs.
The same way, like, because a lot of people forget Star Wars wasn't huge in 1999. They re-released the original trilogy, but then there were a couple books that were, just...
You mean the franchise itself wasn't
right.
a part of the zeitgeist
kind of a failing franchise.
Until Episode 1 comes back.
Right. They did the re-release in 97. They did the special editions. But there wasn't, it wasn't everywhere the way it is now. But Taylor Swift, she's on everything. Yeah. She's, probably one of the most famous, probably the biggest entertainer on the planet.
Yeah, probably.
And just doesn't speak to me, but it was kind of cool to see other people,
other culture, events.
Well, it's like anything. Like I like anybody that's into anything. If you've got it's the whole point of this whole show. Yeah. If you're passionate about something, I'll be like, come on, let's friggin' talk about it. Like, tell me why you're into trains.
Just because I don't like the music doesn't mean it's not bad. It doesn't mean it's bad.
It was fascinating to watch.
It's cool that people enjoy something like this. Like that lady running around with the friendship bracelets. You can tell the others around you that enjoy this stuff are going to be on the same level of compassion towards you.
Right.
So you just start sharing that shit.
But
that's what I get when I go to cons or something. When I go to MagFest.
Yeah.
And I'll just see somebody dressed up in like a Hotline Miami video game character.
I have no idea what that is.
Exactly. And I'll see them and be like, hey, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he just grabs me by the throat and holds up a machete to my throat. And I'm like, this is the best. He gets it. And we were like, hey, thanks, man. He's like, no, thank you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You could just see him and you're like, oh, great. That's the one. Yeah. So being at a spot where you're all just congregated together.
Yeah.
That sounds beautiful.
It's very communal.
Yeah.
And so I recommend anybody go see this.
I'm absolutely not going to do that.
No, you shouldn't.
I can't do that.
You shouldn't go alone.
Yeah, I can't do it.
For sure, you shouldn't go alone.
One ticket for the single mid-30s guy.
I'd like to sit and see Taylor Swift, please.
Right in the middle, please.
Fascinating. And the amount of money that she's going to go, I guarantee, deals are already in the works for her to do this show at that crazy Space Dome in Las Vegas.
The Sphere?
Yeah. Mm. Have you seen the images coming out of that?
Yeah, why U2? Why was U2 the first one?
Why did U2 put everyone's iPod with one of their new albums
on it? Why is it U2? Do people like U2?
I don't understand.
If they put Taylor Swift on my iPod against my will, I would have been like, okay, what's this? And listen to it.
Check it out.
They decided U2.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Well, I mean, if
I was in Vegas and they were like, do you want free tickets to the Sphere to go see U2? I would say, I don't know how busy I am, but if they were like, do you want free tickets to the Sphere to go see Taylor Swift?
Yes.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. It was kind of, in the stage show, it was the Eras Tour, so it was like all of her different...
Old music?
Well, no. It's like, from all of her albums, and each album she did a couple songs from each album.
Right.
Theme, costume. Apparently she's a witch for a while. She had like this weird elven cloak.
Sounds like David Bowie. She was doing her Ziggy Stardust.
It was very Bowie. That's a very apt...
Sounds like very Bowie thing.
She was a very
Bowie went through his eras, and one of them was he's a space man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, yeah, well, he's talented enough. He gets to be a spaceman for a little bit.
And he's like, yeah, he's kicking ass up there. Yeah. Everybody let him cook.
It was fun to see a new fandom. Kind of.
I could feel you on that.
If you had recommended this for me, I would have given this probably a 2.
I will take the 2.
It was good, and like I said, it's nothing against. I'm not going to be one of those people. It's one thing great about this show over the past. This will be episode 46, so almost a year now.
Hell yeah!
I really have come around to being like, if someone's into something, I'm not going to immediately poo-poo it. And I will say, objectively, Taylor Swift has some good songs.
Yeah,
I'm not
against her music.
I don't think I've heard any of them that I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, the majority of it, it's when you work in a retail store.
Yes.
For as long as I have. Mm-hmm. You're going to hear Taylor Swift songs. Yep. You're going to hear Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
Over and over again every day for an entire 5 years.
Yeah.
Shake It Off is, it's like triggering. It's like, what's his name? Pavlov's dogs.
Yes.
It just makes me want to run into an office and just sit down for a little bit.
As soon as you hear it, you just instinctively go on break.
It's like, I stay up too late. I'm like, I gotta go.
I'm done.
Yeah.
There was one moment when I was coming back because, like I said, it's 2.5 hours. I chugged a Pepsi Max because our theater doesn't have Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. But I will say this.
The worst. Go ahead.
Pepsi Max, not terrible.
I'm going to say this. Their commercials are awful.
For Pepsi Max?
Yeah, before in the theaters, before when we had the Coca-Cola commercials,
you're right.
It was kids making weird Coca-Cola commercials.
Yeah, like student film for Coke.
Yes,
yeah.
That was wonderful. Those things were great. Sometimes it was like, hey, I brought my robot friend, and people were like, robot friend?
Excuse me. This robot runs on Coca-Cola and happiness.
I'm like, great.
Yeah, I don't really trust brands that go with Pepsi.
Yeah, but
it's like
Pepsi
at some
Max.
point someone was, looking at the numbers and they're like, hey, we could save a lot of money by not serving Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And Coke's just been on its reputation to be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Have fun with your Pepsi.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
I was a bartender for years, and I've never had anyone order a Jack and Pepsi.
Yeah, right.
Or a rum and Pepsi.
You're just not going to be that soda.
Yeah.
It's probably... What's a pea liquor that you would mix with Pepsi? Or just like a single or two-syllable word? Because Jack and Coke sounds good.
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke.
Beam and Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coke sounds good.
It does.
Pepsi? A peppermint schnapps and Pepsi, please.
Probably wouldn't be bad, actually.
Yeah, but it's just weird.
I don't know. It was good. You got anything else going on? Anything you've been watching?
No, not really. I've been playing Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty.
Yeah?
I'm actually on the
DLC?
and playing it through. And I didn't know Idris Elba was in this game.
Oh, I saw him in one of the commercials for it, yeah.
Yeah, I had no clue.
So is he like Keanu Reeves, basically?
No, he's an actual man in it.
Well, I mean, like how he's the famous person that is in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's an actor.
You know what I fucking bet.
I have no clue what you mean.
He's like the face of the franchise for the DLC. Like Keanu Reeves was on all the advertisements for Cyberpunk when it came out.
Yeah, like the president is in danger, and you're here to help. You're hired to help.
Yeah.
And Reed, which is Idris Elba's character, is also there to help. And he's very, all right, V, I'm going to help you out here.
Is he British Idris Elba?
No. He's just Idris
American
Elba.
Idris Elba?
He's just stock standards.
Well, that's British.
No, it's not.
Yes. Oh, what?
You're Hollywood now. You're
So he's not
now
British.
you're putting on an accent.
What was that show when he was the detective? Luther.
Yeah.
See, I was he's one of those people that when he had a British accent, I was flabbergasted because I grew up watching him on The Wire, so I thought he was from Baltimore
Oh yeah.
because he does a spot-on Baltimore accent.
He sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great in Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
And also, I did watch a movie that I really enjoyed that's getting really bad reviews.
It sounds like something you would choose.
It's not. You're going to be surprised. It's Haunted Mansion, that new Disney movie.
The new one with Lakeith Stanfield and Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about watching that with the kid.
I highly recommend it.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
It's thoroughly enjoyable from beginning to end.
Better than the Eddie Murphy one?
That's a really good question because I enjoyed that one as well. But I enjoyed it more than Eddie Murphy one.
How many? So they've done that and they've done Pirates based on rides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Better than Pirates or no?
I don't like pirates, so
Really?
yes.
The franchise or the concept?
Both.
Well, what
I love pirates as a thing,
they've got the second season of
But-
Our Flag Means Death is out now,
but
which is fantastic.
I need to watch that show.
Yeah,
I watched the first episode. It was great.
It's really good. I've been
What's his name? Reese Darby?
Reese Darby.
Reese Darby?
Yeah,
He's
and Taika
wonderful.
Waititi. Been watching Our Flag Means Death. First episode, Loki's good. Ahsoka's over. Gen V is an interesting show.
You watched it? You started watching it?
Well, yeah, it's on episode 5. By the time this comes out, episode 6 will be out. But it's really nice. It's set up in the boys' universe, so it's super violent, everything like that. But it's a lot of fun ways to do powers, and all the kids are in college. That's the whole point of it. Is they go to a superhero college where they learn
Superhero
how to
Academy?
be. Yeah,
With a bald guy in a wheelchair trying to tell him
No,
what to do.
it's
And
not the
professors disappear every once in a while.
it really
And
plays
then
into.
over the intercom, you hear Professor Cohen saying, "Yeah, all the teachers, they're just gone. No class for the next 3 days. Some of them are in space. Some of them are like microscopic.
I think one of them went to hell. I'm not sure what happened here.
I don't know what's going on. One of them's going to marry a squirrel." So you're invited to that on Saturday, but no class for the rest of the week.
It's a pretty chaotic education system to have at Xavier School.
It's great.
But this is it's fun and it's kind of interesting how it does like teen drama and like kid coming of age problems.
Yeah.
Being hyper violent and incredibly gory and shit like that. Because like there's one one of the girls, she's got Ant-Man powers essentially.
Yeah.
She can get small and she can get big.
Oh.
But the way she does it is if she eats a lot, she gets big, and then she has to like make herself throw up to get small.
Wow.
So it's like pairs into like an eating disorder thing. And there's a girl that has essentially blood bending powers.
A blood mage?
Yeah, kind of, but it's not like they come out like venom tendrils.
Okay.
You know, like how Venom can just like kind of shoot stuff out.
Yeah.
That comes out on Friday too, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But it's like that plays into, you know, she has to like cut herself to get the blood out.
Wow.
So it's kind of weird, and like there's one character
Definitely
that is bigender, switches between male and female form, and has different powers in between. So they play into that. Like parents don't understand why she isn't always a boy. And, you know, it's kind of clever writing.
Okay.
And obviously, like, you know, I can't speak to anyone's experience in their own, you know, life journey or anything like that, but it's kind of a clever way to put that into a superhero context.
Can't wait for this show to get canceled by...
No, it's Amazon, so they have all the money in the world.
Crazy people.
See, that's the thing. I think if it's superheroes, I don't think anyone's coming for it. Because
You
it's
don't
just
think so?
No, I think they're just kind of letting it happen.
You know
like,
what this
it's kinda
means
fun.
to me?
What?
It means that the trans person is going to die. That's what it tells me.
I don't know.
Because that's going to tell a lot of people in the audience to be like, well, at least I don't have to root for that anymore.
I don't think things like The Boys really have I'll say a right-wing audience, because it's weird because especially with Homelander.
Trump stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, you know, executive produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. They've made their political leanings pretty clear. Like in season 3 of The Boys with Soldier Boy, who's basically just an old racist guy from the Vietnam War that it's like if Captain America was a racist.
Yes. If Captain America was just a guy from the 40s back
exactly. If he probably would have been. Yeah. But yeah, I love that. And what the hell? Oh, the season premiere of Rick and Morty was last night.
Oh, wow.
With the new voices. Couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell.
No
big loss.
Much ado about nothing. Yeah. Apparently when Justin Roiland did his voiceovers, a lot of it was improvised. And like he would just go into the booth and just ramble, and then they would kind of animate around it. I did notice it was tighter, like the writing was there.
Yeah.
Because it's an actor reading off a script instead of a madman rambling in a booth and then saying, figure it out in the edit. It was good.
Much better?
I liked it. It was a good episode. Hugh Jackman was in this episode.
Hugh Jackman coming in.
As Hugh Jackman.
Voicing things.
Yeah. He referred to his house as the Jack Shack, which I really enjoyed. And I love seeing Hugh Jackman and stuff. So it's nice to see Rick and Morty.
He got that taste from Koala Man, and he wanted more, huh?
Well, I guess that was another Justin Roiland thing that he did. I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's like, where's my buddy Justin at?
Hugh Jackman does not call him his buddy.
Yeah, he calls everybody his buddy.
He would say mate. All right, let's get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to start out with my recommendation for Jake, which was the 2022 film Vengeance, written, directed, and starring B.J. Novak. B.J. Novak, best known as Ryan from The Office.
Yeah.
He's a writer, author in his own right. He's done he did a kid's book that I got a while back, which I forget the name of it.
Wow.
But it was interesting. And so the premise of this movie is there's a guy who's a journalist in New York City, classic New York City douchebag. They establish that he's a New York City douchebag because in the opening shot, he's on a rooftop bar talking to John Mayer.
Yeah.
Which...
that's John Mayer.
He's listed as John. In the script. So basically, he's playing John Mayer.
Yeah.
So if you want to set someone up as this guy's a douchebag...
Now I see why you like this movie.
Yeah, if you want to... That's a real
if it
show...
opens with John Mayer, you're
It's a real
happy.
show don't tell moment. It's like, oh, he's friends with John Mayer? This guy must suck. Unless he's a member of the Grateful Dead. If he's hanging out with John Mayer, he's not a cool person. I like John Mayer enough.
I know you do.
You know who doesn't? Taylor Swift. You should listen to Dear John. It's one of her songs.
Yeah, they used to go out, didn't they?
She has a 10-minute song about Jake Gyllenhaal that she played.
Damn.
Yeah.
Don't date Taylor Swift. Unless it's together forever.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we start being Swifties?
You can. I mean, I'll talk about it with you.
I'm taking over this podcast if it's happening.
You're just going to take a turn?
We're just going to talk Swift every day.
Did you know when I was...
Talk to Taylor with Taylor.
When I was setting up this podcast, like now we're actually kind of in some algorithm. So if you type in like Jake Taylor podcast, like we're not the first thing, but it pops up. But when we first started, if you type in Jake and Taylor podcast, like the top results were just celebrity gossip podcasts linked to episodes breaking down Jake Gyllenhaal and Taylor Swift. I was just like, God damn it.
We didn't play into that.
We did not play into it at all.
Stupid. We're so stupid.
I hope at one point someone Googled this and was like, Jake and Taylor are doing a podcast together?
Jake and Taylor are playing video games together, I see.
What the hell, man?
I guess they really reconciled.
Moving back to BJ Novak.
Yes. Okay.
So he gets a phone call, and what the premise of or how the story gets started is he gets a phone call from a number he doesn't know saying that his girlfriend is dead.
Yeah.
And he was not under the assumption that he had a girlfriend.
Right.
So he goes down to her funeral in Texas.
He doesn't even keep names of women in his phone. He
No.
keeps descriptions of them and where he met them.
Yes.
So that when he runs into them again, he has a quick recap to
Yes.
give them so he can sleep with them again.
Have you ever met with anybody that does that? Has shitty ways to put people in their phone?
Aren't I talking to one right now?
I don't. No,
You don't?
You're in here first and last. Jake Baggett.
You're in here as Tay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until you
Nobody
get Taylor
needs that.
Swift's number. And then,
And then we're going to be, and then, yeah.
you're going to be Taylor, parentheses, podcast.
Yeah, Taylor,
parentheses.
pop star.
But, so I recommended this to you. One, obviously, we have a good habit of this, or a bad habit, depending on how you look at it, but I don't care. Of one of us recommending something and that triggering something and the other one being
Yes.
like, oh, that makes me want to think about this.
Yes.
This, obviously, I'm sure you picked up on, comes off of The Long Goodbye.
Yes. Yes.
Which you recommended.
Absolutely.
And I said in my discussion of that, I wouldn't say a critique, but when we talked about that movie,
Yeah.
I really like detective stories. And I like people being put in situations out of their element. It's a real fish out of water story because he's a New York guy going down to Texas.
Yeah.
And, there's a dead girl somewhere, and then you're finding out why the girl's dead. It's
Like-
the impetus of a bunch of, fiction. Well, sadly, not always just fiction, but a lot of stories in the past. It's like, how'd this person die?
Yeah.
And that's a jumping off point. So that made me want to get you to watch this. I think there are great performances from Issa Rae, Boyd Holbrook, and Ashton Kutcher.
Agreed across the table on that.
And it's a Blumhouse thing, so it's got its little indie cred. And it's BJ Novak as writer and director. This is the first time he directed.
And star.
And star. So,
Yes.
And I think he's great. I think he's a very charismatic leading man.
I think he overextends. I don't think he's that good of an actor.
Yeah?
No. Yeah.
Okay,
I think-
we'll get into it. Let's so what are you taking away from it?
I will start by saying I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
It was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got great characters from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
I think BJ Novak thinks he has a compassion for the little guy, we'll say, like people from Abilene, Texas.
Yeah.
But I don't think he does. I think he's stuck in a douchebag mindset. I think that's who he is. I think he recognizes it, but I don't think he recognizes it enough.
So he's trying to hang a lantern on it, but it's just he's not quite pulling it off.
Yes. I still think he's coming off as a douchebag as a person. No
Got it.
offense to him, because his character is amazing as who he is in that movie. Mm-hmm. And I would say 80% of the time he's doing a great job being a fish out of water, and he prides himself on how well he can get people to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And you can see that he's a pretty good interviewer. He asks really good interview questions.
Oh yeah, well, that's something we forgot to mention. So he's a podcast producer,
Yes.
and he goes down there and he's using this whole thing as a jumping off point for his own podcast. Issa Rae plays his podcast producer. It's a real serial vibe thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're going to focus on this one thing. And these fucking murder shows, they do numbers. If you look at podcast charts and stuff.
I listen to him too.
Yeah, I mean,
they're good.
People friggin' love murder stuff.
Yes.
And I think at one point they just refer to his podcast as Dead White Girl.
Yes.
Which
It
is
starts as Dead White Girl.
Objectively funny.
Yes. Extremely funny.
And so you don't think he pulled it off as the leading man quite.
Yes, because there's moments of sincerity that needed to happen where he's just not selling it to me.
Yeah.
There's times when he's betrayed and it doesn't feel like he's betrayed. It feels more like he's angry at the moment. He's not making a character. He's just like, I'm supposed to be mad at this point, and There's times when he gets punched in the gut, and he doesn't really sell that he got punched in the gut that well.
No.
He just...
I don't think he actually got punched.
Yeah. I don't think he got punched.
I think he was safe the entire time.
And I just don't think he has the range that he thinks he has, I would say, is the thing.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that, I mean, there are a lot of people that do the writing, directing, and acting.
Yes.
And to varying degrees of success.
Wearing all those hats, it's a very different thing.
For every Vengeance, you have Kevin Costner Dances with Wolves, where he
Yes.
freaking nails it.
Yes.
And then there are some people that are the writer-director that do small bits, like your Kevin Smith, your Quentin Tarantino, where they'll pop up.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Smith's in a lot of his movies, but obviously famously not talking during most of them.
Yeah.
But putting yourself as a leading man, especially in your first time directing,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of rough. I mean, even people like...
It's a tall order.
Yeah,
and I'm not
that-
saying that it was him that was like, being a douchebag because of it. I just think that he thought he could pull it off, and he just ended up looking like a douchebag, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't mean any ill will to him at all. I think it's just who he is, and he sees it, but he thought he could overcome it.
There are some people that... I think another good example of this is Mel Brooks, who started out as a writer, actor, and doing all of his own stuff, but then kind of moved away from it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he popped up in Spaceballs and Robin Hood Men in Tights and things like that.
Right.
And it's hard.
But he's great in High Anxiety.
And there are plenty of people that just do the cameo thing, and then there's ensembles, I think, where it works well, where you have like Broken Lizard, the Super Troopers guys.
Uh-huh.
Jay Chandrasekhar directs most of those. He's like the director. Or Terry Jones.
Kevin Heffernan's starting to direct him.
Yeah, and Terry Gilliam in the Python stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like, he was just kind of part of it.
Yeah.
I think it is hard, and it's a bold move. And
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
he
it's
pulls
bold.
it off.
I don't think that... I don't belay him for what he did, because I think mostly he pulled it off, but ultimately it was distracting for me that it didn't feel quite natural.
You think it would have been...
Compared to being around somebody like Issa Rae and Ashton Kutcher and Boyd Holbrook
was my favorite part of this movie.
I tried my best not to curse this time, listening to your sister being like, I would love to listen to this in the car, but you guys swear way too much. I was like, I'm going to try my best.
Have you been doing it consciously this whole time?
Yes.
Have I been cursing?
No, we've been doing great, man.
We do good social mirroring of each other. When one of us starts to curse, the other one goes off the rails.
It's over.
Yeah.
God. Oh, I was about to curse
It's like going
again.
out to the bar. You're like, are we doing shots? We're doing shots. All right. Except with us, it's like, are we saying bad words?
Yes. He steals the show.
Yeah.
Say his name one more time.
Boyd Holbrook.
Boyd Holbrook.
He was the bad guy in Logan.
I immediately thought he was the murderer, of course. And
it's a good mystery.
Yeah, and it's a good mystery. And the noir is there. Mm-hmm. But the second thing that bothered me is where the differences of The Long Goodbye and this movie comes in. Vengeance, yeah. Long Goodbye is so much more show don't tell than Vengeance. Mm-hmm. Vengeance takes a lot of time listening to the bad guys talk about, this is where we do it, this is why we do it, this is how it happens, this is what you're going to do about it, this is why we haven't been caught, this is why I'm going to stay free.
Yes, and I think using the podcast as a narrative device, it does, you give yourself a little crutch there in storytelling.
A little bit,
yeah.
But toward the end, when he's going off the podcast more to talk to these people, which I also say really good writing, because now he's leaving the podcast behind because he actually cares about these people that he's with.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to represent that, is he's leaving the podcast behind literally to be involved in these people's lives more. And I just don't, there's just a lot more talking where in a noir, there's a lot more confusion at the end,
It's more ambiguous.
It's more ambiguous, and that's what I do enjoy about it, is because that's where a lot of the human element comes out of it, where you can understand somebody doing something as atrocious as they do,
right? Or
you can't understand why somebody can do something so atrocious and get away with it.
Got it.
Yeah. Where this one is like, no, he's a bad man. He bad man. I'm good man. And it's like, you don't need that. You don't need that.
So, I mean, going a little bit...
Having said that,
okay,
this movie is a 3.
Is it a 3?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were
It's-
leaning towards a 2.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
From my gripes, it is just something that I see.
Nitpicky stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just me being nitpicky that took me out of the movie. But when I saw the pieces coming together, that's when I was like, this is good. And when I started feeling how those pieces were fitting, I was like, this is a noir. And if they pull off the right ending that I'm thinking about, this gets a 3. I said it out loud.
Yeah.
I said, if this happens, it gets a 3. And it happened. And I said, this movie is a 3.
So the characters are great. The
Yes.
actress who plays the dead girl Abilene, Leo Tipton, she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in, what the fuck is it called? Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling.
She's barely in the movie.
I know, but she's an actress, and she's great. And Dove Cameron, who plays one of her sisters,
Yes.
she was in a Disney Channel show that my kid used to be into called Liv and Maddie, where she plays twin sisters. It's like the opposite of the Olsen sisters.
The blonde one?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, the
Okay.
blonde one that wants to be famous.
Yeah.
She's a funny character. Boyd
That's very
Holbrook
funny.
is great. The person who plays their mom, she was in Succession.
Another person that really stole the show for her scene.
Yeah. She
You know.
played, she was in Succession, and she was fantastic in that as well. And I think Ashton Kutcher, you mentioned last week, you're like, Ashton Kutcher's a good actor.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher plays this
He does an
kind
incredible
of-
job.
He's a record producer, but he's
Yeah.
got kind of this weird philosophy.
He's
and
got
he's like,
he's really hippy dippy about
Overly-
how he feels.
he's got that hippy dippy capitalist vibe where he's just like,
Yes.
if everyone just listens to their inner artist, we
Yeah.
can all make so much fucking money.
The moment you're in front of somebody, you can tell them everything. Why not tell them everything that you've been through in that moment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I can really understand what you're saying, you hippie
Yeah.
shit.
But it plays
That was a
out
good
like
character.
like a
Yeah.
good noir because as Ben is investigating this girl's death because they're saying she died of an overdose, which the brother
Yeah.
is just like, they're
She
saying
never
she
had
died of an
Novak.
overdose. And he says she never even touched aspirin.
Yeah.
And then
She
a
never
couple
so much
minutes
as
later,
aspirin.
like the mom will be like, I don't know what they're saying. She never even touched aspirin. And you get that line, that exact wording, like she never even touched an aspirin.
Yeah.
From like 3 different people. Then you're like, something's fucking up here.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should spoil it because it's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
I think anybody.
everybody should watch it
Yeah.
because it is a really, really, really great movie. There's
And-
moments that are going to pull you out, and that's what I was trying to bring up is just in my head,
Yeah.
BJ Novak is a douchebag.
Yes.
And it's hard for me to get around it.
Should have let John Mayer just play this part.
That would have been a 2 out of 3.
I don't know if he could act. I don't know if he's ever acted.
There's there's absolutely
Yeah.
no way. No
But-
offense to the man.
Yeah,
All offense to the man. Doesn't he do bad things to women?
allegedly. But he's also hanging out with the Grateful Dead and Dave Chappelle. So, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
He never made an Eras Tour movie. She didn't even sing Dear John in this concert.
Ow! Ooh, big fucking blow to him.
I got my friendship bracelets. They all say things. Going
Yeah.
back to Taylor Swift. Mine said London Boy on it. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I asked the kid, I was like, London Boy? And she goes, it's Harry Styles, Dad. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. And then I
That
listened to that
guy.
song, and I was like, wow, she just really writes songs about all of her emotions. Like,
Good for her,
all
though,
of us
dude.
that were just like, you know, when we have a feeling, we're just like, I'm just going to bottle this down and not tell anyone. She
Yeah.
writes a song and makes billions of dollars.
Yeah. What an aspirational thing to do, though.
She's a dork, too. You can tell
How
the
do
way
you-
she's like dancing and putting
Yeah,
on
I
shows. It's
see
like,
how she
oh,
dances.
you're a dork.
Yeah.
I'm really coming around on Taylor Swift.
Yeah, look, you're just talking yourself into it.
Do you want to go see Eras Tour with me? We can make friendship bracelets.
This is insane how much you've turned around.
Well, just the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, Taylor does get it. You know, she was in an episode of New Girl.
I
That
don't
was
want to
fun.
bring up how many posters he has of Taylor Swift down here.
First of all, I have posters of Krang and Batman
And Taylor Swift.
and Ron Burgundy. That's my abstract art painting. It's really my interpretation of Taylor Swift. But yeah, I think everyone should go see this. I think there's some legit funny things.
Yes,
They have
It's funny. It's very funny.
They have a little brother that they call El Stupido,
Yeah.
which is just very funny.
And
There's one scene where Ben's car gets blown up.
Yeah.
Boyd Holbrook walks up to him and is like, because he's driving a Prius, he's like, can you imagine what would have happened if you had a real car?
Yeah. Like, God, you weren't driving a real car.
There's like a whole big scene set about Whataburger, which is one of those fast food franchises that I've yet to experience.
Yeah.
I've never had a Whataburger,
Me neither.
but I know it's a Texas staple. It's
Because
the
it's
same way
there.
Yeah, it's the same way. I think it's been compared to a cross between In-N-Out and Waffle House,
Okay.
which I'm like, I'm on board. I've never had In-N-Out, but I love Waffle House.
It wouldn't bother me.
Yeah. So yeah, go check out Vengeance. It's on Amazon. Yeah, it's great. Good for BJ Novak. You got yourself a 3 on the podcast, buddy.
Good for BJ Novak.
I'd be interested because he did write a lot for The Office, and I think he directed some of the episodes of The Office too.
Maybe.
I'd be interested to see him doing some more stuff.
Yeah,
because I think
that was my big pull away from this is if he's starring in another role of his, I'll still watch it.
Yeah. What was the? Looking up something about BJ Novak. Oh yeah, his
kids book.
His kids book, yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. I freaking had it somewhere. It's called the book with no pictures.
Oh.
And it was using typography
to make
it was like a picture book, but it was just using like really nice looking
what a fart
typefaces and everything like that. It was cute. He's a good guy. Has he written any other movies? No, just Vengeance.
I don't think so.
So this was his first time writing and his first time directing.
No, I think he did a great job.
For a debut, friggin' fantastic.
I think it was a great job.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he was teased in Amazing Spider-Man 2. He played the movie with the second Andrew Garfield one.
Yeah.
He got teased as Alistair Smythe, like he was going to be the villain in the third Amazing Spider-Man movie.
For real?
Yeah, and they never made it.
I don't remember that.
They set up Black Cat and Alistair Smythe. And it was,
I remember them setting up Black Cat.
Yeah. And he was great in, speaking of Tarantino, in Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
He was one of the ones that survived.
Just a few minutes of him.
Yeah. But he's great.
And they're making fun of him.
With Brad Pitt at the end.
Yeah.
All right. So, go check out Vengeance. Good job, BJ Novak. We liked it. We want to see more.
We like you, BJ Novak. I must say that.
Taika Waititi. That's another director we didn't bring up. He's in all of his stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He wrote and directed himself, and he played Hitler.
Yeah.
To very good success.
I don't think so. A lot of people say it's bad.
You don't like that movie?
I haven't seen it.
Jojo Rabbit?
No, I haven't seen it.
You didn't put that in for ScarJo September?
No.
She's in it.
She's in it?
She's great.
Oh,
she's fantastic.
She's fantastic, period.
She's like movies Taylor Swift.
I will watch a movie called Eras of ScarJo.
Scarlett Johansson.
Just doing clips.
All right, let's get into Jake's recommendation for me, filling up week 2 of his horror movie, trying to get Taylor to watch horror movies.
Yeah, buddy.
So for people that have been listening to the podcast for a while, they know, I think it was the second episode Jake recommended, we had a trailer episode where we talked about trying to figure out what the podcast was about.
Yeah.
And different things that we were into. Jake mentioned that he's big into horror movies. I famously am not into horror movies.
Yeah.
And I think it was episode 1 or 2. I think it was 1, actually.
Yeah, I think it was the first episode where...
And I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, which Jake recommended for me because he said it was kind of the funniest one.
Yeah.
It's absurd. And Freddy Krueger as a character is that. Last week, he had me watch Halloween, the first Halloween from 1978. This week, he completed what I'll say are the big
top 3.
The big 3 of
top
slashers.
3 slashers.
Freddy, Michael Myers, and now not
Jason
Jason, but a Voorhees.
Yes, the Voorhees.
And Friday the 13th. Jake, what's up?
We're working through it, buddy.
You've got a grand design.
I have a grand design.
That's fine.
The thing is, we got to get you the classics. That's what we got to do.
You got to learn the alphabet before you can start reading.
That's what I'm saying. All right. I showed you what I thought you would be more interested in at the very beginning with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
And then...
Because Johnny Depp got killed.
And then Halloween happened.
Yes.
And I was like, Halloween is a movie called Halloween. Let's give him Halloween to watch.
So, on the episode released on Friday the 13th, you recommended me watch the film Halloween.
You're focusing on the wrong part.
So
where on the episode that airs on Friday the 13th, I told you to watch Friday the 13th.
We talked about Halloween. So this episode, which will be on the 20th, we're talking about Friday the 13th.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants here.
It's all right, man. We're making this up.
But now this one's probably my favorite slasher series, I would have to say.
The Jason movies.
As in, it's pretty consistently good. All the Jason movies are.
Okay.
And we have to start you at the beginning because even the second movie starts at the ending of the first movie.
Yep.
Which I wanted you to get into Jason, but, we have to start at the beginning. So here we are.
So, basic plot of this starts up very similarly, and I think I read in the IMDb trivia that I always go through, this was kind of, Halloween was successful in 1978, and Hollywood does what it always does. Instead of learning the lesson of what made a movie successful, they just said, let's do that too.
Yeah. Sure.
And so they wrote a script, and they're like, let's basically just do Halloween again. So it starts out
Are you talking about Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Oh.
It's basically Halloween again. So it starts out with
What a wild
tragic
claim.
backstory.
Yes.
It starts out with two kids doing it.
Bullying.
They got murdered.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the future, and it's like, oh, this is bad. The kids don't come here. They're at a Camp Crystal Lake. I'm sure everyone knows the background. And then
They're all doomed.
They're horny teenagers. Yes, Crazy Ralph tells them all.
You're doomed.
There's this sweet girl named Annie who I was rooting for.
Better turn back while you still can.
First of all, this movie's from 1980, and everyone should have seen it. I'm sure I'm the only one listening to this podcast that a week before this had not seen this movie.
Yes.
So we're going full spoilers for this because
Go ahead.
I don't give a shit.
Go ahead.
I thought Annie was going to be. I know because I've seen, like we talked about last week. This is one of the. It falls in the thing that I've seen so many things that were based on this,
Right.
that I kind of had that.
You see the inspirations throughout.
I get it. I've seen Scary Movie. I've seen Cabin in the Woods and things like that. I knew that when we see Sweet Annie getting there, and she's like, "Oh, I need to get up to Camp Crystal Lake," and I was like, "This is going to be our
protagonist,
the last girl,
Yeah.
like they call it. Like she's the one that's
Our
going to
survivor.
Yeah, she gets killed first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Oh, throat slit.
Yeah.
So it also has a lot of the first person view. Mm-hmm. Like that's I wrote notes and then I stopped because I was just very entranced by this movie. First person view, you're like, I don't know who's killing,
Right.
but someone's killing.
Yeah.
And he
And
gets her
it's
throat
creepy.
slit.
They're creeping. They're slow.
So there are kids there. The kids' names don't matter.
No.
None of these children have any sort of development, goals, dreams, except for we're in the woods and we want to have sex with
Yeah.
each other.
Sex and party.
And Kevin Bacon's there,
Yeah.
you know, because why not? And
You got to get some
People's-
Johnny Depp level
Yes.
caliber.
yeah, people start dying. Was there? I guess Jamie Lee Curtis was the Johnny Depp, Kevin Bacon of Halloween.
I guess
where
so.
that was like her
But that was her breakout role, too. Well, I guess that's Johnny Depp's breakout
Johnny Depp
role,
and Kevin
too.
Bacon too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, look at them.
yeah. Everyone makes good somehow.
Yeah.
And so everyone gets murdered. There's a storm that's coming in. The counselor guy, it leads you to believe, because the counselor guy is seen driving a Jeep. Annie gets picked up by someone driving a Jeep. They look very similar. I found out they're the same Jeep because they only had the production budget for one Jeep. They're not supposed to be the same Jeep in the story, but in actuality, they are the same Jeep.
Well, it works for the story.
It does. So you're trying to figure out who is the killer.
Right.
This whole time. You're like, is this guy Steve? And then it cuts to Steve, and Steve's out at a diner being weird flirty with the diner waitress, which is adorable. And then he's coming back in the storm, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's one of the cops, because maybe it's Crazy Ralph. Maybe it's the cop who came by and was like, what are you kids doing? Like shaking him down, be like, you kids smoking grass? He's very late 70s, early 80s cop.
Ex-military types.
Yeah.
Top dude.
Just try to shake down some teenagers for
Yeah.
smoking reefers.
Yep.
And you get into who's the killer, which had been ruined for me because I knew
Yeah.
who the killer was.
Ever since. Yeah.
The killer is not Jason. Jason's in this movie for 10 seconds. And it's Jason's mom.
Yeah.
And she just shows up at the end.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Going,
Feel free to
"Kill him,
stop me
mommy.
if I'm killing anything.
Kill him, mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So she's lost her darn mind.
she's lost her mind, and then it turns out that the whole premise of it gets kind of shoehorned in that she was the cook at the camp. Her kid, Jason, drowned because some kids, in her words, were making love when they should have been watching him.
Yes.
I hold to the standard. You should have been watching your own kid.
She's got to work.
I understand that, but it's not really those
Man.
kids' fault. They said
Blame
he's not
the
a strong
victim
swimmer.
much.
Tell your son to put on a life jacket because he's not a strong
You need to
swimmer.
watch that movie some more. You need to watch some more of those Jason movies, bud.
Oh,
They were making fun of him while he's trying to swim.
when do they talk about that? Because
Later.
it's not in this movie. Okay, well, you told me to watch this movie. You told me to watch this
Well,
one.
you should have known.
No, I shouldn't have. Spoiler alert, I watched Friday the 13th Part 2 as well.
You did?
I did. I watched it today.
What'd you think?
I'll say this. So out of the big three,
Yeah.
and I'm judging this just based on Friday the 13th,
One and
Volume
two?
1.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what you recommended.
Yes, of course.
You did mention at the end of the episode I should watch 2, and then 3, and then 4,
Yes.
and then 5.
Yes.
And then I think 6 is New Beginning,
Yeah.
New Blood.
I think 5 is in the new beginning.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless, I watched 1 and 2.
6 is.
Number 3, I looked at it, and then I kind of watched a trailer for it online, and it was because this number 2 came out the year after number 1.
They were churning them out.
It was ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And number 3 looked like it was. Well, it's the same thing as like Jaws 3D, where it's like everything's in 3D. So for no reason, someone will like, hey, you want to try some of this? And it's like an arm coming out of the screen.
Comes out, he's like, you're all doomed. And he holds up an eyeball to the screen.
Yeah.
Ooh, scary.
I had no interest in watching that today. So just the first movie, it's a 1.
Yeah.
I do not like the first Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
Much more my speed.
The hell yeah.
Because I think what happened with Friday the 13th Part 1, I knew the twist, and I didn't care.
And it's slow.
It's so slow. There's not much violence. The kills aren't great. It's just like a kid or Kevin Bacon laying on a bed, and then just an arrow comes up through his neck.
Yeah.
The whole thing with...
You could tell that the theme of the killing isn't like machete.
Right.
It's
what's laying around.
Camp equipment.
Yeah.
So
also, they kill a snake in this movie. Do you know that's they legit killed that snake?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This was back in the 80s.
When you could just kill a snake for no reason?
Or you're just going to kill a snake.
As the proud owner of a tenant of a podcast studio that is a snake.
Yeah.
As people know.
You sent me a picture of him.
This turned me around. I'm not killing that snake. That snake's allowed to hang out here. Just because I'm making a living talking about a movie which famously features a snake murder. On-screen snake. It's like, you know how people talk about movies like, oh, they were really having sex there. Or like, oh, that's for real. They're not faking that.
Yeah.
This
Tom
is
Cruise.
a real snake murder. They chop its head off and they show you. It's horrible. It was like that movie Finn that we watched.
Wow, it got to you, huh?
It's just right there.
Horrific.
And I was just like, because I saw it and I was like, kind of seems pointless to make an artificial snake when there's like no other real like animatronics or anything in this. And then I looked on IMDb and they're like, oh yeah, they just killed a snake. And I'm just like, you fucks. That served no point in the plot other than to kill a snake. I'm Team Snake now. Team Swift.
I feel
Team
you.
Snake.
I don't want snakes to die either.
Yeah. And after Annie dies, the girl Alice, who ends up being the last girl.
Yeah.
3 separate occasions, she knocks Mrs. Voorhees to the ground. One time hits her with cast iron. One time just hits her with something else. And then she just leaves her there again. I'm like, she's going to get back up.
Yeah.
Like,
you're a teenager.
She's just an old lady, though.
Yeah.
There's no real threat of intimidation. And then at the end, she just fucking cuts her head off. With a machete, which is a lot harder to do than you would think it is.
Yeah, I don't know. She made it look pretty darn easy.
It looked like fucking...
And it's great.
It looked like the Black Knight in Monty Python. Like just lopping it off and it flying. And horrible... Man. And then there's the jump scare at the end. I will say the jump scare at the end when Alice is out on the lake. Yeah. She's floating. And then, apropos to nothing, Mutant Boy just jumps out of the water. Grabs her. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's great.
So,
I want to tell you... I watched this movie called The Wizard of Gore, and it's from the 70s, and it is so cheap budget that you can tell there's a restaurant scene where somebody dies, and you can tell that the director talked to the owner of the restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant was like, yeah, you can shoot here, you can have a death here, but I don't want any blood like on my carpeting.
Right.
So when...
That's a fair point.
Yeah, so when she dies, which is like her... appendix comes out of her stomach.
Jesus.
She falls down to the ground, and the ground is nothing but saran wrap.
What's that called?
It's called The Wizard of Gore.
Oh, God, I got to check that out.
It was so good.
So, all my points about Friday the 13th Part 1, not a fan. If I'm ranking Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th 1, Halloween 1, and... Nightmare on Elm Street 1.
I love this movie.
Because at that point, that's all I've seen of those franchises in their entirety.
Jason is comfort food for me. Well, let's just say Friday the 13th, the first one. That's comfort food for me. It's something I could put on and just, I could fall asleep to it, read a book to it or something. Mm-hmm. It's a very...
Fall asleep to this?
Oh, sure.
The freaking...
Buddy.
I will say this had great soundtrack, but it was all that violin, just that ring. Yeah. It was so much of that. How could you fall asleep?
Buddy, I've seen it so many times. So, when my grandmother passed away, the day that we left the hospital, me and my brother got to the house first, and we were like, do you want to watch a movie? And we watched 3 of the Friday the 13th films.
Just bang out 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we were just waiting for the rest of the family to show up. So there's also that comfort feeling, too, that there's just that. Because when my grandfather died and me and my brother left the hospital, we were the first people back at the house. We were like, do you want to watch a movie? And we watched 4, 5, and 6 of the Friday the 13th movies. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I guess this is how we're going to watch them now.
But I will say that I think the reason out of the first 3 of the 3 of those, this is my third favorite. Number 2 is Halloween. First favorite's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, and I picked up on that.
Just because I think Freddy Krueger, it's funny.
Yes, it's funny.
It's absurd. Yeah. It's hyper violent.
And it's violent to the point where it's parody.
It's not trying to ground itself. Yeah. This didn't give me any of the Jason stuff.
Right.
Obviously, because it was the first one in the franchise. I know it doesn't really hit the ground running. I know he doesn't get the hockey mask until number 3.
Yes.
In number 2, so I started watching number 2. I liked number 2 a lot better.
Yeah.
Number 2 probably it would have been a 2 to a 3.
Cool.
I think number 2 was funnier. I think the deaths were better.
Yeah. They're coming in on their own. Jason is a much better monster. Much better killer.
I think it just kind of, by the time, obviously they found out what worked because this movie made a lot of money and they're like, let's just do that again, but more. Let's
go back to the snake thing real quick.
Okay.
So they killed a snake in the first movie. I think it was the Jason in Jason 4. There was a part where they were going to have Jason kick a dog.
Oh, no.
And the actor playing Jason was like, I'm not doing that.
Really?
So they took it out.
Michael Myers kills a dog in Halloween, doesn't he? He chokes out a German Shepherd or whatever.
He said, they were like, you got to do it. He's like, no, Jason kills people. He doesn't hurt animals.
So he's got one up on the humans.
Yeah, right? Isn't that weird?
But again,
there you go.
The first movie, Jason wasn't in it.
Yeah.
He's in the second movie. The second one had some... I guess I had kind of settled into it because I watched number 1 yesterday, and I watched number 2 today. And honestly, if it wasn't for me finding out that it was all in 3D, I probably would have sat down and watched number 3 as well.
3 is still really good.
Because I watched a thing in... like I did with Halloween, a YouTube retrospective on the timeline, and apparently he gets frozen for 500 years and then he goes to space.
Yeah.
I mentioned
what do you mean
last
apparently?
week,
you know Jason X.
I know he does. And I mentioned last week, the only one that I think I had seen was Jason Take Manhattan, which is, I guess, going back to this, that's what I was kind of expecting, the lumbering dude in the tracksuit with the hockey mask and the machete, and that's not in this.
No.
The second one gets a little more into it. He's got a bag on his face, kind of more of like a
burlap sack, I believe.
Yeah, with one eye hole. Which, I mean, if you're going to be stabbing people, you want to have depth perception right up there.
He doesn't have depth perception.
I think the last girl in the second movie was better.
Yes, she's Ginny. Incredible. Ginny is awesome.
You had a lot of people just getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy in a wheelchair, and his whole thing is he's in a wheelchair, and they make a point of saying it was a motorcycle accident, so it's not a genetic disorder that he has. He's arm wrestling people the whole time, and then one of the girls flat out asked him, does everything else work? It's like, just so you know, we're inclusive having this guy who's physically disabled, but he's still gonna try to fuck these girls because it's still that kind of movie. And then he gets hit in the shoulder across the chest with a machete, and he rolls down a long staircase, which heretofore you did not see. Everything was on one level until the guy in the wheelchair gets hit. No one's running up the stairs or being like, hey, maybe we should... His whole setup is he's wheeling through the dirt. And I'm just like, why? What's the point?
I like your idea, or you came at it from... they're trying to be inclusive, having a man in a wheelchair,
right?
When I'm coming from it from what I believe was like, I have a really funny idea for a death scene. They're like, it involves a wheelchair. We have to get somebody out here in a wheelchair.
Did you? It's like what's that? The clip from Mac and Me that Paul Rudd would always put on Conan.
Yeah,
where it's a kid in the wheelchair falling down and then the alien pops up.
Yeah,
it was that level of cartoonishly.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And they were like, this is a great idea for a kill scene.
Yeah.
We'll get a guy out here.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But they have to let you know his dick works. So don't worry about that. And it's kids have sex, kids get killed. I think the second one's just, by and large, a better movie. And you had a little bit more of the Jason stuff that I wanted.
Yeah.
So if I was going to continue with any of these franchises, knowing what I do about the lore. And so this is just coming from a strictly hypothetical thing. I don't know anything that you have planned, or if you have one of these movies that you want me to watch and be like, this is like, I know there's Freddy versus Jason. Sure, I might watch that. There's something about...
I have a controversial opinion about that movie.
Which is?
I enjoy it. I honestly enjoy it.
Yeah. Well,
people do not like it. I do not see why. Because I don't like Aliens versus Predator. I don't think they pulled it off really well.
Right.
But
what about Batman versus Predator?
That YouTube video?
No, that was a comic.
That was a YouTube video.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a fan-made thing.
Oh. Well, it was also real comics.
And he says, yeah, Joker. And Joker's like, you're lucky you get to take off your face.
But
you're wrong, Joker.
I will say...
I have to put on my...
Have you watched the new Pete Holmes Batman?
No. I've watched
great.
one. It's just like, I've already seen you do this before, Petey. I love you, Petey.
There's one that you should check out. Anyone that doesn't know, Pete Holmes, for College Humor, did this thing about Batman, which was just fantastic. It was just the Christian Bale Batman specifically.
Yeah.
But he has one in his new series of a Batcanned, where he's firing people from the Justice League.
Batman versus Alien. I'm sorry, not Predator.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay.
And which he did before with a series called X-Men, where he's Charles Xavier firing all the X-Men.
The X-Men, yeah.
So it's basically that, but he has one in the new one where it's Batman firing the Batman. And
Yeah.
the Batman is played by Thomas Middleditch, and seeing Pete Holmes and Thomas Middleditch together, just two of the funniest fucking dudes.
Yeah.
It's,
Thomas Middleditch might be the greatest improviser.
him and
I've
Ben
ever heard.
Schwartz are right up
Yeah.
there. Like that Middleditch and Schwartz long form improv on Netflix.
I give
which
it
is
to Tom.
Siderec if no one's watched that.
Yeah,
I don't
give
know
it
if
to
it's
Thomas.
still on Netflix.
It is. I just watched
Yeah.
it recently.
Of course you did.
I give it to Thomas just because he can do characters a lot
Yes.
easier. Mm-hmm. I think Ben Schwartz is my favorite because I think he's just so loving.
Yeah.
But Thomas, he creates a character on the spot.
Yeah.
It's It's the greatest thing to listen to him on Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Whenever he's there, he makes up a character right on the spot, and they're always crazy and they're always hilarious.
It's a funny dude. So side
Type
rec
in-
for Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes has a new Netflix special coming out next week.
I know. I did saw it. It comes
Yeah.
out on my birthday.
Yeah, 24th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Well, we'll do a Jake's birthday episode next time. But like I was doing before,
Yeah.
knowing what I know about the franchise, there are elements of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise that are interesting to me.
Well.
I know in Halloween they did like Season of the Witch, which is not a Michael Myers thing. We talked about that last
But
week.
that's a really good movie.
At one point in the Friday the 13th franchise, he apparently fights a girl with telekinetic powers.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
It might
like
have been.
a girl with like a carry thing.
It might have been when he goes to hell. I'm not sure
I don't know. I just saw that in a YouTube video and I was like, oh, so this goes off the rails quickly.
because the ones that I've seen, it goes off the rails basically in Manhattan, I guess. But no, I don't remember him doing that, and I haven't seen him go to hell though.
All right. But regardless, I think, yeah, Jason, he's third.
Third.
Freddy's first. Mike Myers is second. Just because I think Mike Myers, and granted, I didn't see Jason in all of his glory.
That's true.
I saw Jason's mom get
Yeah.
hit in the face with a pan, and I saw him with a sack on his head.
Yeah, you had to make sure
So-
it's okay with Jason's mother.
Maybe
that
if
you
I
watch
see-
the rest of these movies.
Maybe if I see fully formed Jason, I might
Yeah.
like him better. But right now, Freddy's first, then Mike Myers,
Oh, okay.
and then Jason.
That's
But yeah, the first one's a 1. Second one, I'm glad I watched the first
I'm
one.
glad you watched the second
Which
one
I
as well.
didn't need to because, by the way, the second one starts with like previously on Friday the 13th,
That's what
where
I
they
thought.
recap the whole first fucking
I
movie.
thought if I showed you the second one first, you would have been like,
No, I got it.
"Oh, they're wasting my time showing me," or like, "No, I'm confused."
I knew
by
what
this
happened
thing.
in the first one.
Damn.
Yeah. If you had jumped in on 2, you got to trust.
never mind.
You got to trust your audience. Jacob.
No, I don't trust you.
That's fair. I'll wait till I have my recommendation for you. You're really not going to trust me.
Oh, buddy, you're not going to be happy tonight either.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, let's get into it. So,
right.
thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have your own recommendations or you have anything you want to chime in, you could send us an email, upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and what's the other one?
Threads?
Threads and YouTube at Up Your Alley Pod. Tell your friends about the show, like and subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and do all that good stuff. And let's get into what we're going to be talking about next week. I'll go first since, Jake, you've got a theme going.
Uh-huh.
I have a film for you that we talked about going to see and we did not see. Now it's on Max.
Oh, I already go.
You already know?
No, I'm happy.
It's Meg 2 The Trench.
It's Meg 2.
Meg 2 The Trench.
Of course I'm happy.
Nothing needed. I saw that Meg 2 The Trench was on there, and I was like, good.
I saw that yesterday, too.
Yeah. So that's
like,
the movie.
oh, yeah.
I'm taking a freebie here. I've already watched it. I got to tell you, this was very clearly made with a
we would have had fun.
With a not American audience in mind.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. We would have. I'm excited. We'll talk about it.
We will talk about it. Meg 2 The Trench. It's available to watch on Max. Get that one out of the way.
Hell yeah.
Jake, what do you got for me next week?
It's time, buddy.
Is it?
Yeah. We got to get into the spookies.
Spookies?
Yeah, we got to get into the
Have
actual
these not been
spooky
spookies?
stuff. No.
All
These
right.
have been fun. Now we're getting to
Have they, though?
spooky.
All right.
Yeah. And we're going with a movie that still creeps me out
Oh, boy.
to this day.
Jesus.
But I don't know.
called
But your mileage may vary, I suppose.
Okay.
It's a really old movie. That's why. It's called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, sir. It's
Now, there's
directed by Toby Hooper.
just like Halloween and stuff, there's been a bunch of movies like
Yes.
this. So this is the 1974 one.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one. I think it's on Max.
Okay.
Might have been Prime Video. But it is streaming.
Okay.
This one is actually very spooky. It's
Spooky.
made by Toby Hooper, who I think is masterful at making a very tense movie.
Because I think some people would probably put, I know, like, again, like all these things, I know of it just from pop culture and everything like this. I think some people would put Leatherface up there.
Yes.
With Jason and
iconic
Freddy.
killers. Yes.
Let's see, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What's scary about...
Oh, Jesus. I just typed in Texas into Just Watch, and it Just Watch, great search engine for anything streaming.
Yeah.
It said Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2000, whenever the second one was, and then right under that was Alexis, Texas. And I was just like,
Woo!
people searching for that, huh?
Alexis, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No! With what she does, there should not be chainsaws. That's horrible. Looks like it's streaming on Peacock.
Oh, wow.
Let's go Peacock.
I was off.
That's all right.
But
You can rent it on Apple TV, but you can stream it with Peacock. Yeah.
this is one of my favorite films, I will say, from the top.
Okay.
It's gruesome.
All right.
So just be ready, buddy.
I'm
I
ready.
don't think it's going to give you nightmares or anything. I think it will disturb you, though.
I don't think anything will give me nightmares.
No, I don't think so anymore.
Not anymore.
We're old. We're adults.
Yeah, we are. And I'll watch it with the lights on. If it's on Peacock, there's ad breaks. So I like that too.
Time to catch your breath.
So next week, we're going to talk about two horrible, horrible things, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Meg 2 The Trench. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Jake, thanks for coming out, buddy. Love you.
I love you, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.